Part 1 of the first book of Urizen. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Dennis Sayers. The First Book of Urizen by William Blake. Preludium to the First Book of Urizen. Of the primeval priest's assumed power, when Eternal spurned back his religion and gave him a place in the north, obscure, shadowy, void, solitary. Eternals, I hear your call gladly. Dictate swift, winged words, and fear not to unfold your dark visions of torment. Chapter 1. 1. Lo, a shadow of horror is risen in eternity, unknown, unprolific, self-closed, all-repelling. What demon has formed this abominable void, this soul-shuddering vacuum? Some said, it is Urizen, but unknown, abstracted, brooding secret, the dark power hid. 2. Times on times he divided and measured space by space in his ninefold darkness, unseen, unknown. Changes appeared in his desolate mountains, rifted furious by the black winds of perturbation. 3. For he strove in battles dire, in unseen conflictions with shapes bred from his forsaken wilderness, of beast, bird, fish, serpent, and element, combustion, blast, vapor, and cloud. 4. Dark, revolving in silent activity, unseen in tormenting passions, an activity unknown and horrible, a self-contemplating shadow, in enormous labors occupied. 5. But Eternals beheld his vast forests, age on ages he lay, closed, unknown, brooding, shut in the deep, all avoid the petrific, abominable chaos. 6. His cold horrors silent, dark Urizen prepared, his 10,000s of thunders ranged in gloomed array stretch out across the dread world, and the rolling of wheels as of swelling seas sound in his clouds, in his hills of stored snows, in his mountains of hail and ice. Voices of terror are heard like thunders of autumn when the cloud blazes over the harvests. Chapter 2. 1. Earth was not, nor globes of attraction. The will of the immortal expanded or contracted his all-flexible senses. Death was not, but eternal life sprung. 2. The sound of a trumpet with heavens awoke, and vast clouds of blood rolled round the dim rocks of Urizen, so named that solitary one in immensity. 3. Shrill the trumpet, and myriads of eternity muster around the bleak deserts, now filled with clouds, darkness, and waters, that rolled perplexed, laboring, and uttered words articulate, bursting in thunders, that rolled on the tops of his mountains. 4. From the depths of dark solitude, from the eternal abode in my holiness, hidden apart in my stern counsels, reserved for the days of futurity, I have sought for a joy without pain, for a solid without fluctuation. Why will you die, O eternals? Why live in unquenchable burnings? 5. I fought with the fire, consumed inwards into a deep world within, a void immense, wild, dark and deep, where nothing was, nature's wide womb and self-balanced stretched over the void, I alone, even I, the winds merciless bound, but condensing in torrents, they fall and fall. Strong, I repelled the vast waves and arose on the waters, a wide world of solid obstruction. 6. Here alone, I in books formed of metals have written the secrets of wisdom, the secrets of dark contemplation, by fightings and conflicts dire, with terrible monsters sin bred, which the bosoms of all inhabit, 7 deadly sins of the soul. 7. Lo, I unfold my darkness, and on this rock place with strong hand the book of eternal brass written in my solitude. 8. Laws of peace, of love, of unity, of pity, compassion, forgiveness. Let each choose one habitation, his ancient infinite mansion, one command, one joy, one desire, one curse, one weight, one measure, one king, one God, one law. Chapter 3. 1. The voice ended. They saw his pale visage emerge from the darkness, his hand on the rock of eternity unclasping the book of brass. Rage seized the strong. 2. Rage, fury, intense indignation, in cataracts of fire, blood, and gall, in whirlwinds of sulphurous smoke, and enormous forms of energy, all the 7 deadly sins of the soul in living creations appeared in the flames of eternal fury. 3. Sundering, darkening, thundering, rent away with a terrible crash, eternity rolled wide apart, wide, asunder rolling mountainous all around, departing, 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 leaving ruinous fragments of life hanging, frowning cliffs, and all between an ocean of voidness unfathomable. 4. The roaring fires ran o'er the heavens in whirlwinds and cataracts of blood, and o'er the dark deserts of Urizen fires pour through the void on all sides, on Urizen's self-begotten armies. 5. But no light from the fires, all was darkness in the flames of eternal fury. 6. In fierce anguish and quenchless flames, to the deserts and rocks he ran, raging to hide, but he could not. Combining, he dug mountains and hills in vast strength. He piled them in incessant labor, in howlings and pangs and fierce madness. long periods in burning fires, laboring, till hoary and age broke, and aged, in despair and the shadows of death. 7. And a roof, vast, petrific around, on all sides he framed, like a womb, where thousands of rivers in veins of blood pour down the mountains to cool the eternal fires beating without from eternals. And like a black globe, viewed by sons of eternity, standing on the shore of the infinite ocean, like a human heart struggling and beating, the vast world of Urizen appeared. 8. And Los, round the dark globe of Urizen, kept watch for eternals to confine, the obscure separation alone, for eternity stood wide apart, as the stars are apart from the earth. 9. Los wept, howling around the dark demon and cursing his lot, for in anguish Urizen was rent from his side, and a fathomless void for his feet, and intense fires for his dwelling. 10. But Urizen laid in a stony sleep, unorganized, rent from eternity. 11. The Eternal said, What is this? Death. Urizen is a clod of clay. 12. Los howled in a dismal stupor, groaning, gnashing, groaning, till the wrenching apart was healed. 13. But the wrenching of Urizen healed not. Cold, featureless, flesh or clay, rifted with direful changes, he lay in a dreamless night. 14. Till Los roused his fires, affrighted at the formless, unmeasurable death. Chapter 4a. 1. Los, smitten with astonishment, frightened at the hurling bones, 2. And at the surging, sulphurous, perturbed, immortal, mad, raging, 3. In whirlwinds and pitch and nitre, round the furious limbs of Los. 4. And Los formed nets and gins, and threw the nets round about. 5. He watched in shuddering fear the dark changes, and bound every change with rivets of iron and brass. 6. And these were the changes of Urizen. Chapter 4b. 1. Ages on ages rolled over him, in stony sleep ages rolled over him, like a dark waste stretching, changeable by earthquakes riven, belching sullen fires, on ages rolled ages in ghastly sick torment. Around him in whirlwinds of darkness the eternal prophet howled, beating still on his rivets of iron, pouring solder of iron, dividing the horrible night into watches. 2. And Urizen, so his eternal name, his prolific delight obscured more and more in dark secrecy, hiding in surging sulphurous fluid his fantasies. The eternal prophet heaved the dark bellows, and turned restless the tongs, and the hammer incessant beat, forging chains new and new, numbering with links hours, days, and years. 3. The eternal mind bounded, began to roll eddies of wrath, ceaseless round and round, and the sulphurous foam, surging thick, settled a lake, bright and shining clear, white as the snow on the mountains cold. 4. Forgetfulness, dumbness, necessity in chains of the mind locked up, like fetters of ice shrinking together, disorganized, rent from eternity. Los beat on his fetters of iron, and heated his furnaces, and poured iron solder and solder of brass. 5. Restless turned the immortal, enchained, heaving, dolorous, anguished, unbearable, till a roof shaggy wild, enclosed in an orb, his fountain of thought. 6. In a horrible, dreamful slumber, like the linked infernal chain, a vast spine writhed in torment upon the winds, shooting pained ribs like a bending cavern, and bones of solidness froze over all his nerves of joy, and a first age passed over, and a state of dismal woe. 7. From the caverns of his jointed spine down sunk with fright a red round globe, hot, burning deep, deep down into the abyss, panting, conglobing, trembling, shooting out 10,000 branches around his solid bones, and a second age passed over, and a state of dismal woe. 8. In the harrowing fear rolling round, his nervous brain shot branches round the branches of his heart, on high into two little orbs, and fixed in two little caves, hiding carefully from the wind, his eyes beheld the deep, and a third age passed over, and a state of dismal woe. 9. The pangs of hope began, in heavy pain striving, struggling, 2 ears in close volutions, from beneath his orbs of vision shot, spiring out, and petrified as they grew, and a fourth age passed, in a state of dismal woe. 10. In ghastly torment, sick, hanging upon the wind, 2 nostrils bent down to the deep, and a fifth age passed over, and a state of dismal woe. 11. In ghastly torment, sick, within his ribs bloated round, a craving, hungry cavern, thence arose his channeled throat, and like a red flame a tongue of thirst and of hunger appeared, and a sixth age passed over, and a state of dismal woe. 12. Enraged and stifled with torment, he threw his right arm to the north, and his left arm to the south, shooting out in anguish deep, and his feet stamped the nether abyss, in trembling and howling and dismay. And a seventh age passed over, and a state of dismal woe. End of part 1 of the first book of Urizen.